lighting doctor. We're on another project here just off the Elbow River in Calgary. This is going to be a fun project because we're doing a couple of different things, but like always, we're sticking to really the 2 or 3 core lights that we use in most of our projects. What we're really focusing in on this project is highlighting the home and the architectural features of the home, especially so that as the bystanders are walking by or driving by, that's where they really get to experience the lighting effects on this house. So that's what we're going to do, and you're going to notice with a lot of the lights we position that we're focusing on a lot more of these architectural structures of this home. So now that we've selected our lights, I often talk about you got to go and just place all the lights roughly where you want them. You're going to want to come back at night, see how everything looks, because you might want to make some adjustments. But usually I'll go around and just do that. Just take a small hole, place the lights, get them set where I think I want them, and leave lots of room, because the other thing I always suggest is leave lots of extra wire at every single fixture so that if you do need to move them, you're not having to cut wires. You can just move the light around and you've got lots of wire to play with. And the other reason you want to dig that big hole is because then you can easily hide that wire and bury it nice and snug when you're all done. So it's really the first step is placing your lights, laying out the wire, and then going to get everything wired up, which I'll show you how we do now. Sometimes I get asked, you know, can I cut into a wire and tee off? Say I've got one light that's off in the distance and I want to cut into this and just add an extra wire out to a certain area. And yes, you definitely can. That's why we put 2 kinds of connectors in all our do-it-yourself kits, and it's really simple to do. Is you just take your line that you need to cut into, and again, make sure you've got some extra wire to play with. Cut into it. You're going to strip off the ends of both sides of that wire. You only need to strip about, 3/4 of an inch to an inch off the ends of that is all you need. And then with whatever wire that you're going to run out to your fixture now, you lay that out and you're going to strip the ends off of that as well. And now, because this is slightly different than when you're wiring a fixture, you notice we've got 3 sets of wires and they're all larger wires. So with the typical BVS2 snap lock connectors that we use, you're not going to fit all those in there. So what we use is something called a DVRY connection. So basically from those 3 wires you just spliced, you're going to connect 1 wire from each of those together, twist them tight with your Marette, and then very simply you take your DVRY gel filled connector that's full of gel that keeps the water out. It slides right on there and then it snaps tight on the wires, and that connection is not going to come apart on you. So that's why we use that anytime we have to tee in, and you're going to do the exact same thing with your other set of 3 wires. Wire those together, throw on your Marette, use your gel filled connector, push it in the tube, and then snap those tight. And that's how you're going to tee off if you need to tee off just 1 wire to another fixture. Gone around, we've laid out all our wire for each fixture. We've made sure to leave a lot of extra wire at every single fixture, so that way if we ever need to move it, it just gives us some play, and we got some extra wire to splice into and stuff. The biggest mistake most people make is they use those cheap clips and they don't leave any slack whatsoever, and it just kind of bites into the wire. And then if you ever have to make a repair, you can't, and all of a sudden you gotta cut your wire back and cut your wire back, and then you've got 2 or 3 extra connections that you don't need. It's just more chance for them to fail. So So yeah, leave lots of extra wire. To wire your lights is actually really simple. Every light's gonna have 2 wires coming off of it, and your 12-2 wire obviously has the 2 wires. So you have your wire coming in, you wanna split those, and just take off, you know, maybe about 1 inch off the end of each one, just with your wire cutters, and then you've got your line that's going out to the next fixture. I like using these. These are the BVS2 snap lock connectors that we talk about. They're gel filled, so they help keep the water out. They also clamp down on the wire, so it keeps them from pulling apart over time, which is that's the number one thing that happens when there's a bad break. The wires just come out, a light stops working, and then you got to dig it up. And again, if it's not, if you didn't leave enough wire, then it becomes a major pain in the butt. So I like using these, but even with those, I still like wrapping a little bit of electrical tape around the end, just to give it that extra little bit so we know that they're not going to come apart. But really simple. Again, we've got our wire coming in, our wire going out, and then we've got 2 wires from our fixture. We're going to take one of those and we're going to just stick them in the ports at the bottom of our snap lock connectors. There's 3 holes, there's 3 wires. It's pretty simple. Put them in, snap it tight, and then, like I said, I like to just put a little extra electrical tape. You probably don't need to, but I always rather be safe than sorry, so I'll just put a little bit along the base just to keep that nice and tight. You don't have to go around the whole thing, because again, these are waterproof. And you're going to do the same thing with your second set of wires. You'll have your wire coming in, your wire going out, and then your other fixture wire. So wire those up. Then once you've got all your lights wired, go fire on your transformer. Make sure everything's everything's working, and then come back at night, see how everything looks before you go and start burying all the wire. And with all the extra wire you have, basically just roll it up. And because I dug a nice big hole, there's lots of room to stuff that down there and bury it up.